Hey friends, welcome. Thank you for stopping in. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. And if you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. So today we are going to be using these glass rocks here. I got these from Michael's using a coupon, along with some glitter and some gold paint and a little bit of rose gold foil to make some really pretty geode coasters. So this geode mold here, I did get this from Amazon. I believe this one is from Just Resin. So I'm just using a spoon and kind of putting some of these glass pieces where I'd like them to sit inside the mold. And of course, you can decorate your mold any way you like. And remember, the part that's facing down, when you take it out, that's generally going to be the top of your coaster. Okay? So after I put in this glass, then I'm going to put in some glitter. So when I'm doing these, I like to use a spoon because I like the glitter to be kind of thick. So, and I'm just going to go in and put it in places, however I feel like I want it to sit. And I like, when I'm doing a set of these coasters, I like my molds to each look a little bit different than the first one. And I don't necessarily like them to look completely perfect because they wouldn't be perfect looking in nature. So I'm just going to go in and kind of put them however I'd like them to look. And I have a couple little thicker sequins that's also in a rose gold that I'm just going to kind of go in and just put a couple of them. I want to mix them in with my rocks just to give a little color in there. Okay, so now that I have my glitter and my stones in place, what I like to do is take some epoxy and I just kind of go over it in lines. I like for there to be a little bit of area that has no epoxy on it right now because this epoxy is just to keep the stones in place, and I'm going to be going through and adding some gold paint. So I like for there to be some open areas because I'm going to add gold paint to the silicone, and I want to be able to make it kind of web out. And I will show you this here in just a minute. But first, right now, I am just going in and adding some epoxy. And then I let this sit for about an hour before I go in and do my painting. Now I'm going to add the foil leaf in. This is in a rose gold color, and I'm going to add it in now since I have some epoxy and it's got something to stick to. So I'm not going to use a lot of foil leaf, just a little bit, but I do like the way it looks and I like to add it into my coasters personally. So now once I get all the foil leaf in, then I am going to let this sit for about an hour, and then I'm going to bring it back and I'm going to add some gold paint. Now you'll see when I go to add the paint, it's very cool because you can, of course, paint on your epoxy once it's dry, but also you can actually paint inside your mold and the epoxy will lift the paint up and it will become part of your project. Now, I already painted all but one of these because, it takes a little bit of time and you don't need to see all that. But I just wanted to show you. So here along the edges, I'm actually painting the mold itself rather than the epoxy. And then when I put in the rest of the epoxy, it's going to lift the paint with it once it dries. And then down on the flat part of the mold where there's some open space because I didn't completely cover the whole thing with epoxy, I take my paintbrush and I kind of dab it down in there, and it creates, when the paint goes on the silicone like this, you see how it creates this webbing kind of look. Now, if you want to cover the entire thing with the paint, you just go over it a few times, and you can see in the rims here, some of them I did cover it completely, and you just have to go over it a couple times. But the silicone itself will naturally make that kind of veining or spider look with the paint initially. So then I'm going to go in and just add my epoxy. Now, the epoxy is so nice and clear that sometimes it's really hard to tell when you're actually at the edge of the mold. So just, kind of be careful. You don't want to go over your edges if you can help it, because it will, definitely make a mess and make it harder to come out. So this is set for about 12 hours, and I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the mold. And the reason I take it out now is that it's much easier to use a pair of scissors and cut anything around the edges if you need to, when it's soft like this. So these ones don't really have anything that need to be cut, but then this will also allow me to put it on a nice hard surface and make sure it's nice and flat. And right now this is pretty pliable, so if you wanted to shape your resin into a different shape, now is the time that you can do this. So once I demold these, I will put them on a hard surface and I will let them sit an additional 12 hours until they get, nice and hard. So as you can see, like, this epoxy turned out so crystal clear. And I'm really happy with how these turned out. And you can see how it picks up the paint. And these are just really, really crystal clear. So we'll let them sit and then we'll be back when they're done. All right, friends, so my coasters are complete. You can see how nice and clear they are. That resin is like glass. And you can see where the paint picks up on the coaster. I haven't done anything to the edges or anything of these yet. So I will let them sit in like probably 48 hours, and then I'll go in and just buff my edges. And see how the feathering looks inside there. Here's this one. And again, so this is one that I just did feathering on the outside rather than the whole thing. You know, I want them all to look different, and I don't want them to look perfect because they wouldn't be perfect in nature. You can see the feathering on that one. And you see, I mean, they're so nice and clear, they look like glass. See the little bit of paint on the edge there, but you can see it picked up all the paint. This one's got a lot of nice feathering in it. See how nice and clear it is? And it's just really, you know, taking the time with your epoxy. Now, when I package these up, so I'll let them sit for 48 hours. I'll make sure that all of my ends are nice and clean. And then when I package them, you know, I'll put something soft between each one. This particular set's not meant for anybody, but when I do them and I send them out to people, I put something soft between each one of them before I send them to keep them safe. So, all right, well, listen, I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a blessed and beautiful rest of the day. If you liked the video, please give it a big thumbs up and hit the like button. Bye, friends.